Today, we're going to navigate through the aftermath of, well, a really shocking event. One that's hit a community hard and sparked some intense national conversations.
Absolutely.
You're talking about the Annunciation school shooting in Minneapolis. And for this deep dive, our goal really is to unpack the specifics, what happened, what the stated motivations were, and look at those immediate societal reactions.
Right.
And we're doing this drawing only from the sources provided. So, okay, let's get right into it.
Yeah, and what's really striking here is just how fast an incident like this becomes a kind of flashpoint, doesn't it, for all these existing tensions in society.
Solely.
The sources, they give us this stark, immediate picture, not just of the tragedy, but, how public discourse just ignites around it almost instantly.
Yeah. It shows how deeply these things shake us up.
Exactly, to our core.
So let's set the scene. The reports say that on August 27th, 2025, this terrible incident happened during a morning mass.
Right, at the Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis.
Yeah. And the human cost. I mean, the sources detail it, and it's just devastating.
It is.
2 children killed and 17 other people injured. These aren't just stats, Their families completely shattered. Lives changed forever.
It's a horrific reality behind the headline.
It really is. A chilling reminder, really, of the human impact we often touch on in these deep dives. So the immediate question, obviously, after something this horrific is, who did this and why?
The eternal question.
Exactly. Our sources identify the perpetrator as 23-year-old Robin Westman.
Okay.
And the nature of the attack. It's described very explicitly in the material as hate-fueled.
Hate-fueled. That's a strong label.
It is. And understanding the why, well, that's always the toughest part, isn't it?
Always.
What do the sources tell us about Westman's specific motivations?
Well, the sources point to this potent, really tragic mix. They use the phrase anti-Catholic animus and personal grievances.
Anti-Catholic animus and personal grievances. So 2 distinct things, potentially.
Well, yes, but what's insightful here is how they seem to converge. It wasn't just one or the other, apparently.
Right.
It suggests that these extreme acts, they rarely come from just one single place. It's more like this awful fusion of maybe broader ideological hate and these very specific individual issues.
Like resentment or something.
Possibly.
Right.
That kind of intertwining, it makes the why incredibly hard to really pin down. There's no simple answer here based on this.
And just to show how complex this seems, the material highlights a very specific kind of jarring detail.
Okay.
The reports say that phrases, specifically like kill Donald Trump, were found on the weapons used.
Wow. Okay.
And we need to be clear, this isn't us interpreting. It's a factual detail reported in the sources, just, laid out as key information that was discovered.
Right. And that immediately adds another layer, doesn't it, to those personal grievances you just mentioned?
It really does.
Exactly. And what that detail suggests, I think, is critical. It shows these aren't, neat little boxes of anger. The mention of kill Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It points to this potential merging where really personal issues, religious hatred, and maybe even political anger can all tragically combine into one devastating act.
A perfect storm, almost.
In a way, yeah. It's a powerful reminder that human motivation, especially when it comes to extreme violence like this, is rarely simple. It's almost never just one thing. And this particular mix, where personal problems seem to overlap with these bigger political and religious hostilities, well, it makes understanding what truly drove Westman incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
And our aim here, just to reiterate, is to present this information impartially, just as it appears in the source material. We want you, the listener, to see the sheer complexity of these converging factors without us weighing in on the political figures or ideologies themselves.
Absolutely. So this tragedy, it didn't just stay within the school walls, did it? It immediately set off this firestorm of public debate.
Oh, instantly.
So how did this one event manage to become such a focal point for some of our most contentious societal debates?
Well, this is where the event almost becomes a mirror, reflecting our wider society. The sources clearly identify the core themes that erupted: faith, gun control, and transgender issues.
Right. 3 very big, often polarized topics.
Exactly. Each one, even on its own, carries so much weight and controversy. And the shooting, it acted like a lightning rod. It just drew in all these pre-existing arguments and seemed to supercharge them.
Okay, so let's break that down. Faith, for instance.
The fact the attack happened during Mass, that instantly brought up discussions around religious freedom, didn't it? Potential persecution, the role of faith in public life.
Makes sense. And gun control.
almost inevitable, tragically. The horrific use of firearms immediately made gun control a major point of contention. You had urgent calls for new laws on one side,
Right.
and then equally strong defenses of Second Amendment rights on the other. That debate reignited almost immediately.
And the third one you mentioned, transgender issues.
Yeah.
How did that come into play according to the sources?
It's interesting because the source material we have doesn't explicitly state this was part of Westman's motivation.
Okay, that's an important distinction.
It is. But its inclusion in the public debate afterwards, that suggests how these broader societal conversations, about identity, social issues, cultural shifts, they get woven into the narrative surrounding of events like this.
So the event becomes a sort of proxy battleground for other issues.
Exactly. It's a really powerful illustration of how a crisis doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It exposes and amplifies the fault lines that are already there in society.
Yeah.
And it makes every existing argument feel suddenly more urgent, more intense.
And these weren't just like quiet discussions online either. The report specifically mentioned that public figures were clashing.
Right. Clashing over the responses.
Yes, specifically responses like prayer amid calls for action. That really paints a picture of the divide, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It shows that immediate split in how people, especially those with a public platform, process such a profound tragedy.
So on one side, you had calls for prayer, reflection, solace.
Which is, a deeply ingrained response for many people in times of crisis, seeking spiritual comfort and solidarity.
Sure, but then simultaneously, there are these urgent demands for concrete action.
Yes. Policy-driven action. Things like stricter gun laws or finding other ways to address hate-based violence. Tangible steps to prevent it from happening again.
So it's this immediate tension between reflection and action.
Precisely. That split highlights the different philosophies, the different priorities people bring when they're confronted with such immense loss and violence. It's not just about what they think, but about how they believe we should collectively respond, whether through reflection, action, or some combination. And what's fascinating, really, is how the event itself almost got overshadowed by what it represented to different groups.
Regarding these wider issues, faith, guns, identity.
Exactly. The source material details these intense debates, and again, we're just laying them out as reported, making sure you understand the different viewpoints without us taking a side. This amplification effect, it means these deeply held arguments suddenly jump to the forefront, often with way more intensity, making any kind of nuanced discussion really difficult in that emotional aftermath.
Yeah, you can imagine.
It's quite something how quickly a single horrific act can morph into this much broader societal reflection, or maybe confrontation.
Okay, so as we start to wrap up this deep dive, let's just quickly recap the main points we've covered.
Sounds good.
We started with the tragedy itself.
Yeah.
The Annunciation school shooting in Minneapolis, August 27th, 2025. 2 children dead, 17 others injured.
A devastating event.
Then we looked into the perpetrator, Robin Westman, and the stated motivations described as hate-fueled. Specifically, that mix of anti-Catholic animus and personal grievances.
Right, and including that striking detail about the "kill Donald Trump" phrase found on the weapons.
Exactly, highlighting the complexity. And finally, we touched on the immediate, intense public debates that flared up.
Yeah, focused on those big themes. Faith, gun control, and transgender issues.
With public figures really clashing over how best to respond, prayer versus action.
This deep dive, it really does underscore just how complex these incidents are, and how fast information, even when it's multifaceted, maybe even contradictory, starts shaping public understanding and debate.
It happens so quickly.
It does. An event like this, it's not just a local tragedy, is it? It becomes this powerful catalyst. It reflects and maybe distorts these broader societal anxieties and divisions. Understanding all those dimensions, from the complex why behind the individual's actions to the diverse, often polarized public reactions, it's really essential to grasp the full impact.
It forces a confrontation, doesn't it?
It really does. It forces us to confront not just the terrible act itself, but also all those underlying tensions simmering in our communities. Often brings them right to the surface with, well, stark clarity.
So this deep dive into the Annunciation school shooting really shows us how fast a single devastating event can become this crossroads for some of society's deepest, most challenging conversations. It leaves us with a question, maybe for you, the listener, to think about. What stands out to you most about how these kinds of tragedies get interpreted and debated in our public spaces? And what does that reaction reveal about the underlying tensions in our own communities? Something to reflect on. Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive.